Have you ever wondered why the Middle East and most Islamic countries have never genuinely experienced peace? Why do Israel, Palestine, and other Arab countries continue to clash century after century, seemingly unable to overcome their deep-seated differences? And why do Sunni and Shia Muslims continue to attack each other, bound in an eternal struggle? These questions bring us back to an old prophecy, a prophecy from God, spoken many years ago, one that would reverberate throughout the ages. It promised that Ishmael's descendants would live in perpetual tension and strife, a truth openly written in the Christian Holy Bible. But what if I told you that understanding this prophecy might reveal the truths underlying today's ongoing conflicts? Understanding this prophecy shows not only the origins of these long-standing conflicts, but also significant insights that can help us manage the difficulties of our modern world. You'll discover how history, faith, and legacy connect in ways that are still important today, providing perspectives that may alter how you perceive current events, and perhaps even your role in fostering peace. By the end of this video, you'll have a better grasp of why the Middle East remains a source of global tension, and why this matters to everyone. Let's look at how this ancient story has shaped and continues to shape the present world. Before we go into this prophecy and its future implications, I'd want to welcome you to our newly established channel. We are delighted to have you join us on this fantastic voyage of discovery. If you appreciate our videos, like them and subscribe to our channel. Subscribing guarantees that you never miss out on our latest insights. Thank you for supporting our community's growth. Let's dive in. Hagar asked for none of this. She was only a servant caught up in the machinations of her lord and mistress. However, on that hot, dusty day, her life, and that of her unborn son, changed forever. Hagar was an Egyptian servant at the home of Abram and Sarai, also known as Abraham and Sarah. Sarai was barren and unable to have children, which caused her great anguish and frustration. Desperate for an offspring, Sarai made a disastrous decision that changed the course of history. She asked her husband, Abram, to sleep with Hagar in order to produce a child through her. Hagar became pregnant, but this just made things worse. Sarai became jealous, and her jealousy evolved into harshness. She treated Hagar so brutally that the young servant fled into the woods, hoping to escape her suffering. In the middle of nothingness, an angel of the Lord appeared to Hagar with a message that would change her life forever. This was no ordinary message. It was a prophecy that would shape not just Hagar's life, but the lives of her descendants and millions of others throughout history. The angel instructed Hagar to return to Sarai and submit to her, despite her pain. But then the angel delivered her a surprising prophecy about her son, Ishmael. He will be a wild donkey of a man, the angel said. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. Genesis 16:12. These comments were weird and frightening, but they would show to be quite accurate as the years progressed. Before delving into the substance of this prophecy, let us first consider who Ishmael was and why his life became so important. Ishmael was Abram's firstborn son, subsequently renamed Abraham, and the founder of three main world religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. However, Ishmael was not born to Abraham's wife Sarah. He was born to Sarah's servant, Hagar. This distinction made all the difference in how Ishmael's life developed. When Ishmael was born, he was Abraham's only son, and according to tradition, he would inherit everything from his father. He represented Abraham's promise for the future, his legacy. However, when Sarah miraculously gave birth to Isaac, after both she and Abraham were well past childbearing age, God made it clear that Isaac, not Ishmael, would be the son through whom his promises to Abraham were fulfilled. This paved the way for friction and struggle between the two brothers, Ishmael and Isaac, and their descendants. The prophecy revealed to Hagar was dense with meaning, and it's critical to dissect it to fully comprehend its consequences. First, the angel predicted that Ishmael would be a wild donkey of a man. In the ancient world, a wild donkey represented freedom, independence, and a life lived independently of others. Unlike domesticated animals, a wild donkey could travel anywhere it chose without restriction. The angel's description of Ishmael as a wild donkey of a man implied that he and his progeny would dwell outside the confines of normal civilization. They would be free-spirited, independent, and frequently at variance with the settled peoples around them, a people unwilling to be dominated. The following section of the prophecy is considerably more disturbing. The message from the angel was, Ishmael's hand would be against everyone, and everyone's hand would be against him. This indicated that Ishmael's life would be filled with turmoil. He and his successors would be continually in conflict and battle with others. This prophecy has been fulfilled throughout the history of the Arab people, who are believed to be descended from Ishmael. Do you think this ancient prophecy is still relevant in today's conflicts? Share your ideas in the comments section below. The prophecy concluded that Ishmael would live in hostility toward all his brothers. This was an obvious reference to his link with Abraham and Sarah's son Isaac, as well as their descendants. Although Ishmael and Isaac were both Abraham's sons, their lives and legacies diverged dramatically. Isaac was the father of Jacob, later known as Israel, and his descendants became the Jewish people. In contrast, Ishmael's descendants are generally regarded as the Arab people's progenitors. The competition between these two brothers was more than simply personal. It was one that would live on through their ancestors, altering the course of history in ways that are still felt today. The battle between Ishmael and Isaac was more than simply a family squabble. It laid the groundwork for a much broader war that has echoed down the generations. The descendants of Isaac, the Jewish people, and the descendants of Ishmael, generally referred to as the Arab people, have been at odds for millennia. While there are several political, economic, and theological reasons for these conflicts, some consider them as a fulfillment of the prophecy delivered to Hagar hundreds of years before. Throughout history, the descendants of these two brothers have fought wars, contested territories, and engaged in religious struggles. The conflict between Israel and its Arab neighbors, in particular, is frequently viewed through the perspective of this long-standing rivalry. The struggle for sovereignty of Israel's land, particularly Jerusalem, has been central to most of the Middle East's conflict, with both Jews and Arabs claiming it as their legitimate heritage. The angel's prophecy to Hagar about Ishmael, given thousands of years ago, offers a direct explanation for the Middle East's ongoing wars. The words spoken by the angel appear to prophesy a future of conflict and animosity that has played out on the global arena for millennia. Several wars are now underway in the Middle East. Israelis are currently at odds with Arab elements in the continuing Israel-Hamas conflict. The battle between Israel and Hamas, especially since it escalated in 2023, has resulted in massive losses, principally in Gaza. Several Arab countries, particularly Lebanon via Hezbollah and Syria, have been indirectly or directly involved due to their proximity and alignment with Palestinian forces. There is also an ongoing civil conflict in Syria. Syria's civil war, which began in 2011, is still ongoing, albeit at a reduced intensity. The Syrian government, led by Bashar al-Assad, is fighting different opposition factions, including ISIS and Kurdish forces, with major external support from Russia, Iran, and Turkey. However, it is important to note that, while the prophecy may provide a spiritual or symbolic explanation for the difficulties between Ishmael and Isaac's descendants, It does not provide the complete tale. Regardless of the difficulties and struggles described in the prophecy, it is important to remember that God made promises to Ishmael and his descendants. In Genesis 17:20, God promises Abraham that he would bless Ishmael and make him the father of a large nation. God did not forget Ishmael. He was an important part of the divine plan, and God vowed to bless him and his descendants. Suppose you wish to delve deeper into Christ's awareness, like and subscribe. Remember, we're only at the beginning.